Good afternoon, everyone. This year marks the 500th anniversary of the Philippine part in the first circumnavigation of the world from March 16 to October 28, 2021. It is also the commemoration of the victory at Mactan, which happened 500 years ago on April 27. To support this Quincentennial, we are featuring the making of the biggest diorama on the Battle of Mactan. Today is our second talk, which delves into the conceptualization and the execution of the diorama design. This live stream is made possible by National Historical Commission of the Philippines through its National Quincentennial Committee, Sulu Garden Foundation Incorporated at Miagao, Iloilo, Iloilo Museum of Contemporary Art at Mandurriao, Iloilo, Chinatown Museum at Binondo, Manila, and Vibal Group. Thank you for joining us as we get to appreciate the research, creativity, and effort of the Sulu Garden Foundation team for this grand and creative project of the biggest diorama on the Battle of Mactan. I am Janine, and I will be your host for today. Last week, we listened to how Dr. Danilo Herona, the director of Magellan Studies Center, gave us his very long, it was like a decade-long research from libraries in Spain, Portugal, and Italy, and how he was able to come up with a book called Ferdinand Magellan, the Armada de Maluco, and the European Discovery of the Philippines. This also served as the groundwork for which the diorama was created. I know that everyone has a lot of questions, but to cover all of the topics about the making of the diorama, we will be having speakers who will be discussing the vision, the conceptualization, execution strategy, how to create the characters, and of course, the details of miniature art. To start off, we would like to ask first a poll question. In your Facebook Live page, you will be seeing a question there and you will also be seeing the answers. If you are an educator, a teacher who's listening to this talk in Vibal Group or also in the museum page, please answer A. If you are a history enthusiast, if that's your thing, you could answer B. If you're a student, a C. And if you have been following the pages of both Ilomoca and at the same time Chinatown Museum, please answer D. This will help us gather data so that we could create more content that will be interesting for each one of you. To start off, we will be showing these speakers. We have Juan Miguel Trevino. He is the 3D design team manager. Jacob Lorelia. He is the manager for 3D printing. And Emilio Sanchez, the miniature art team manager. But to start our talk, we will call on Arlie John Nim, the manager of project planning.
Hello, Janine. How am I doing? How's the signal now?
It's good. We can hear you.
Good
You
afternoon.
are currently now in Miagao, Iloilo, at Sulu Garden Foundation, right?
Good
Welcome,
afternoon.
sir.
Yes, good afternoon, Chinatown Museum. People from Sulu Garden, the Iloilo Museum of Contemporary Arts, Vibal Group, and we'd like to thank also the National Quincentennial Committee for making this happen. We welcome you to the pre-launching, a week before the launching of the Battle of Mactan miniatures or diorama. Magandang hapon, Janine.
To start off, sir, we would like to ask first, what is Sulu Garden Foundation?
Sulu Garden Foundation is the social arm of Sulu Garden Restaurant. Before the foundation was born, Sulu Garden Restaurant is already doing some social works. In fact, the foundation is an offshoot of pressures from interest groups to really institutionalize their social activities. No? So the foundation was born after the activities. And one of the concentrations of Sulu Garden is for us to take pride in everything we do. By pride, we mean that we have to preserve. Letter P stands for preservation of heritage. Second, research for continuous learning. And I is involving the public in all the activities. D would stand for demonstrating perseverance. We prove this, especially during the
Okay.
pandemic. We have to persevere in whatever we do. And E would stand for espousing values-based community life. So this is the battle cry of
Mhm.
Sulu Garden Foundation, with the mission that we have declared that we have to lead in whatever we do. By lead, we mean learn and convey whatever we have learned. And E for the enrichment of the experiences of everyone. A would stand for advocating responsible communitarian life, and D for developing strategies for the improvement of the quality of life of the community. So this diorama would form part of the bigger mission of Sulu Garden Foundation. Am I getting
So
through, Janine?
yes, 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 understood, sir. So here we have a photo of the team. I
Yes.
understand that this is just the core team, right?
This is just almost half of the real people involved in the
Mhm.
diorama. The first, when you say probably the pioneers, but as we went along, we got more people.
Oh, that's
Probably we
good.
are into something like
Getting bigger
27,
and
30
bigger.
now.
Wow,
27
okay.
or 30 directly involved.
To move along, sir, I think this will be your biggest project ever with the the biggest diorama, right? So
Mhm.
we've seen already the video. We will move along with the vision. Could you
Mhm.
run us through the vision of the project? Who envisioned this?
Okay. Uh, this project was actually envisioned way back in 2016. Dr. Herona
Tagal na.
happened to pass by Sulu Garden and had
Mhm.
dinner. He met our chairman, Dr. Jonathan Matias. They talked about it. At that time, the book of Dr. Herona, The Armada de Maloco and the Discovery of the Philippines has just been launched.
Mm-mm.
And since Dr. Matias, our chairman, is also very interested in small things, in diorama. This is the third diorama that the Sulu Garden Foundation actually was able to make. No, but this is the biggest one.
Yes.
The two others were about local history, the two local histories, historical events of Miagao, Iloilo. But
Mhm.
now, Dr. Matias said, this comes once every 500 years. And the next 500 years, we are no longer here. So we
Okay.
might as well make it the biggest ever that we can. Budget-wise, talent-wise. Somebody asked, bakit gagawin natin? Taga Miagao tayo. And we are not even Cebuanos. But
Mm-mm.
Dr. Matias is very firm in saying, look, the restaurant's name is Sulu Garden. This part of Western Visayas belongs to Sulu Sea. So we share the same culture and traditions. And we
That's
should
true.
take pride as Visayans, particularly, and in general as Filipinos. This is ours. This is the 500th year celebration of, shall we say, discovery of the Philippines, the birth of Christianity in the only, they say, the only Christian country in
Mm-mm.
Southeast Asia. And of course, we have contributed. This is one of the last a few stations before the circumnavigation of the world. And this is where, in this place, where one of the great navigators, Fernando
Mhm.
Magalhaes, died. So that's the kumbaga the hugot of the diorama.
Yes,
So
it is indeed very significant, ano? Just to share with us, how did you start laying out the entire groundwork, yung physical na actual planning already?
the physical, the meetings, because at the onset it was only me and Dr. Matias who's talking about this. But we really said we need a group of people, and of course he has extensive friends. Uh, for one, we are very lucky. Inaanak
Mm-mm.
niya si Emilio, who is a Spanish retired Air Force, and he lives here in the Philippines. And then we talked to him, can you guide us, because he's also a hobbyist and miniature painter. So he was the first one contacted. Engineer Fusin, engineer architect Fusin, who's doing architectural works for Sulu Garden, was also tapped for the actual construction of the geographical features, and so on and so forth. There were a group of young artists in our community because it's pandemic. They had this problem of how can we finance if ever
Yes.
the Department of Education would really pursue this no face to face
Mhm.
education. So they had this initial challenge of we cannot even buy for our cell phones. So we tested them. Emilio tested them on their fine motors as far as miniature paintings is concerned. And of course, we wanted to have Hugot. They have that intrinsic motivation to really join. So these young artists now, numbering about 7 initially, and then we
Mhm.
went on to something like about 15, joined us in the miniature paintings. Emilio had them trained on miniature paintings. And then um, Jacob, who's very keen also in 3D printing, was taken in.
Yes.
Juan Miguel, who's well known already, an international 3D designer, came in. So we all have this team who started the actual production way
And
back, I
yeah.
think, July or August. July or August
Okay.
last year.
We
So production started and it went on until we're about 95% finished now.
Wow. So it's almost just in time for the March 27 launching, is it?
We're setting up next week
Yes.
already. We tested setting up a few weeks ago for the National Historical Commission group who came here, and they were happy about the initial setup, but that was only around 87% achievement. But now we are into 95% because we're
That's great.
already into fine tuning, repainting very small details na lang.
Okay. We have here a photo with NHCP head Dr. Rene Escalante, right?
Yes, he came
I
here.
have a question though. Has it always been up to a specific size? When did you decide to grow 50 square meters?
Actually, it started at 40.
Mm-hmm.
We decided it will be 40. But architect Fusin said, we cannot depict the geography at 40. And he set actually the scale at 1 is to 50. At 1 is to 50, there's a 3 centimeter tall miniature warriors. But
Yeah.
what about the flora, the fauna, the environment? We have to show them because it's not our purpose. It is not just on the battle. We would also like to share information which our present generation may not be able to appreciate if they haven't seen it, even in miniatures. Like we put in some human interest features in the diorama. Ano bang klaseng
Mm-hmm.
houses noon? What were the houses made of? How were they designed?
Yes.
What were the the plants? And what were the flora and fauna generally. So we featured, because it's also endemic in the Philippines, the fire tree, the
Yes.
Roma. You might not be familiar with Roma, but these are the bushes that grows and it's being killed in recent times. But in some remote places in the Philippines, it still
Mm-hmm.
grows in the shorelines. This is where the Magellan warriors get to hide when they ambushed Magellan's soldiers at that time. We'll feature that. Pigafetta wrote about a day or a night where they were treated to a feast of fruit bats. We will feature also a tree full of fruit bats.
That's
There
nice.
are, there are
Yeah.
different human interest things to show in this diorama.
Mm-hmm.
We learned that we didn't have our own endemic cows because cows were imported from Mexico in the late 1700s. But we have our own carabao. We have our own water buffalo. So we will feature that. And one of the biggest learning is, my God, we have our own uh, native breed of dog, which
Yes.
is which has a genetic line of about 30,000 years old. When we researched that, we said it's amazing. So people should know this. we appreciate foreign
We
breed
will
dogs.
be sharing a video and photos
Meron
on
kaming,
that, what you were
yes,
mentioning a while ago. Yes.
we made a miniature of that, and we had several, I think 8 native breed of chicken. We will show 3 which is endemic in the Visayas. So can you
Interesting,
imagine a
no?
360 and a chicken?
Yeah.
So so many more, so many more. The bakhaw, or what they call these trees that grows on the shorelines, which protects the islands from the waves, which is very uh, a major feature of the battlefield at that time. That's why the ships of Magellan cannot come ashore because
Mm-mm.
of these overgrowth and of course the coral reefs. So all of this were considered. We ended up with 50 square meters. Eventually, the whole dining hall of Sulu Garden has to be sacrificed for this diorama.
Okay. Can't wait to see it. So later on, when we move through the talk of both the creating the characters at the same time miniature art, we will also be showing photos of what you're talking about so that our viewers would have an idea what it is. Right now, we could see this is the Gantt chart. You
Oh
were
yeah,
working on this since May
since
2020,
May,
but you mentioned a
brainstorm.
while ago, conceptual wise, this was 2017, right?
Yes, 2016, 2017, thereabouts when Dr. Hirona came here. I think the book was launched about 2 months pa lang when he came here to have dinner,
Mm-hmm.
and they talked about it with Dr. Matias.
Thank you for giving us a very good briefer on this. We will show everyone, Sir Arlie, the
Yeah.
run through since last year so that they have an idea how the entire diorama progressed. Please watch this. It looks very quick, but
Yeah.
imagine that it was done. It really took painstaking effort. At the same time, you really had to hire a lot of people to also join the team, right?
Yeah, let me talk about this. No,
Yes.
some of the figures. Yeah, even let me talk about this. No, some figures has to be repeated 3 times until we are satisfied with the facial features, with how the tattoos were designed, how the the bahag was made, because this has gone through extensive research also. So many of the figures has to be repeated several times before we are satisfied.
Mm-mm. But I also believe in that kasi you have to be meticulous eh.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since we are going back to history and if you're trying to recreate something, might as well do it properly and do it right.
Mm. It has to go through a magnifying glass validation. If it cannot be validated in the
Mm-mm.
magnifying glass, repeat it. That's our standard. It has to go through a magnifying glass.
We will look through the next phase of our talk is looking at the characters. Thank you, Sir Arlie. We will see you again
Yeah,
later on.
sure.
Now let's go to Juan Miguel Trevino. He is our master 3D artist. He is the one who has extensive experience in character modeling. So, hi, Juan, can you hear me?
Hello. Hi. Yes.
Great. So, we're here now at looking at the next photo, which is on. This is for. Could you describe what you were doing here?
For this one, I was modeling the Lanao Victoria. So I think the real challenge was there was no blueprint of the
Mm.
Lanao itself. So I had to look. I asked help from William, the architect, and he helped me a lot with research on this. So we found a video of the replica of the Lanao Victoria, and that's where I based this design on. So yes, and on the right you can see the characters that I modeled, and it was hard as well because we were basing everything on paintings. On There were no photos back then, so
Yeah.
everything was guesswork, and so yeah, mostly based on paintings and stuff.
I'll go back to your render for Victoria. The next photo is how it actually came out. Is this it?
Yes, yes, that's the one. Yes,
How
painted,
long did
already
it take
painted. Yeah.
you? How long did it take you to
Uh,
design it?
it took me around 2 to 3 weeks to design it because I had to put like on the hull itself. I placed one, how do you call this? The details, the wooden planks on the sides.
Mhm.
You can actually see them when you look closer into the printed one. So one by one, Kian and I, the one who assisted me in doing this, we put all the wooden planks on the side. Everything needs to be perfectly detailed from the interiors, from all the floors inside. We modeled everything. So yes,
But the ropes, they are mini, like
the
they're
ropes
thread.
were the ropes were made by Emilio's team because we were thinking of printing them at first, but they're too
Mhm.
small.
Yeah.
They're already too small to print, so it's better. Plus, it would look much more realistic if we actually used the real threads and stuff. Yeah.
That's very, very intricate. Let's go back to the so we will share with everyone this video. I'm very intrigued by the way you created Lapu Lapu because usually Lapu Lapu is in action or at least he's
Yes.
standing.
Yes.
But this one is very, very unique in that he's sitting down, he's overlooking the entire field, right? But
Yes.
whose concept was this?
Yes. Yes. Sitting on top of a hill. So Jonathan and I talked about it because at that time he was already 70 years old. So he's I reckon he's still strong, but he won't be able to join the fights anymore because he's a bit old, 70 years old. But so we decided, why don't we put him on top of a hill, like the real king that he is,
Mm-mm.
and just watching over the battle with his wives and other guards around him, and just sitting there holding his sword and looking intently at the battlefield. So yeah, that's what Jonathan and I talked about, and that's what we agreed on. And yeah, so this is how this idea was born.
Yes, very, very interesting. At saka very unique kasi compared to the others eh. Um,
Mm,
I saw this
yes,
one part of the video that was where someone was creating a figure. So if it's a 1:50 ratio, my question is, how long does it usually take for it to be finished?
Which one? The modeling of the characters, was it?
The modeling of the characters, yeah.
So yeah. So basically, I think the issue we had before was we started it July. I was actually modeling June. So I started modeling everything June already. The Karakwas, the Lanao, and the characters. Because the chairman wanted it to be us, not really too realistic, because it's gonna be 3 centimeters small, but still realistic in a way that you can see the eyes, nose, the mouth, and the muscles around the body.
Yeah.
So I think the real challenge was at first I was doing it alone, creating 2,500 characters, and I have to finish it before December. So plus the time I needed to do a bit more research and stuff, especially with what they were wearing. So at that time, at first we started, I could model around 1 to 10 characters every 2 weeks since
Okay.
I think that was
That's
June, July, and then as we move forward, and I was doing 40 characters a week, 40 characters straight that goes straight to the printing.
yeah,
So yeah, because I have to also we have to take note that I have to change all the movements of each
definitely.
character. Each character has a different expression. Some are shouting, some are gritty, some are dying. So yeah,
So is it safe to say that there is never a similar character? Every character is unique on its own.
yes, it could be like an inch of difference, but it is noticeable.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
parang terracotta warriors, no?
Yes. Yes.
Each
Yes.
of them are very
So
unique.
yes, that's how meticulous this project is actually. So even the details of the clothes, it needs to look like real clothing
Mhm.
on 3D print. So
Yeah.
that was the real
So
challenge.
one,
But over time, we got used to it and we started modeling it.
all right. So once you're done with the designing, what happens is it goes to printing.
Yes, I talked to Jacob. I have 40 characters here ready for printing, and he prints them out, and we check them. We check if there's problems with the 3D model or the 3D printing.
Mm-hmm.
Then we reprint again some of it. So yeah, it's actually a long process, but because sometimes we get errors as well. But yeah, it's a good thing we've been doing this for quite some time. Because I told Jacob, let's just print and print and print, so that we can check if there's any more problems, and then we can handle the situation.
Yeah,
Plan it out, and so we don't get delayed.
that's correct. Thank you for giving us a briefer on the 3D designing. We will call
No
on
worries.
Jacob to talk to us about the 3D printing.
Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, Jacob.
Hello.
So we have here there's a number of gadgets, and on our next slide is the 3D printer.
Yes, that's the
Tell us
resin
more
printer.
about what you do for the diorama.
Okay, so after Juan designs the miniatures, we have to 3D print them. So actually in the laboratory, we have two kinds of 3D printers. We have the FDM, which is the more popular type of 3D printer, which uses the
Mhm.
filament, and the resin printer, or SLA printer, which uses resin. So after Juan gives me a design, I decide whether to print it on the filament or resin. So the ships, we print them using FDM, using the filament because they're big. And for the warriors and the villagers, we use the resin because it is more accurate.
So you really had to have another team just doing the resin as compared to all those that are doing the for the filament?
No, I actually do all the 3D printing.
Okay. Right on the next slide here, you do have, I heard that it was 2,500 figures, but then there are some news that came out that it was 3,000 figures. What is your end figure now that you are 1 week before the launch?
Well, I think the confusion starts with us saying miniatures, because when we say miniatures, we also add the trees, the houses,
Mm-mm.
and the ships. So that's why we came up with about, I think, 5,000 miniatures.
That's a
That's
lot,
the
no?
yeah,
Yeah.
and in that miniatures, the warriors and the villagers and the humans are actually just about, I think, at around 2,000, 1,500 to 2,000.
One of the I think I find interesting is, what are your hurdles here? The challenges of 3D printing.
Well, for me, the biggest challenge is the size of the miniatures, especially the warriors and the villagers, which are around 3 centimeters. So in resin printing, which we use for the warriors and villagers, every print is like an experiment, because we'll never
Mm.
know if it will print the design or details until it is done, because it is submerged in resin. Then after
Mm.
it is printed, we still need to check if the details are visible, like the clothes and the accessories. If not, we send it back to Sir Juan for remodeling until we get the acceptable product. So this is a cycle that actually happens for each design.
So balik-balik, no?
Yeah.
Who was the character that was very hard to create?
I'd say the main characters, Lapu Lapu and Magellan, because they have more details than the other warriors and villagers,
Mm. Just
because they
to
have
share with
swords.
everyone, the Lapu-Lapu is in the upper left, and then Magellan is the lower right. Correct?
Yes,
Right. So the others are villagers in the upper two, and then the lower right,
those are
these
the
are
Spanish.
Spaniards.
Yeah, those are the Spaniards during the battle.
So you also helped out with visual research, or it was just basically Juan Miguel?
All I For this project, I only do 3D printing and also some of the research and management.
All right. A lot of work also. But I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure this will be worth it. Yeah.
I hope. Me too.
Thank you for joining us. We will move on to a question first. It's a poll question. Um, we would like to know where you are residing, viewers. Are you in A, Iloilo, B, Metro Manila, C, others? And there is a reason for this. We will let you know later on. Please answer in the poll down on the Facebook link. Our next topic will be about miniature art. This is the one that's very detailed, and the devil is in the details. So we will bring in Emilio. Hi,
Hello, good
Emilio.
afternoon. Hello.
Good afternoon. Just to let everyone see first what you're doing, we will share a video of how the miniature art was done before we talk about it. That's Hi, Emilio.
Hello.
Right. All right. So we will go into the theme that you have, right? How would the process be once it is already created into 3D printed already?
Okay, well, once we get the 3D printing, the miniature itself, well, Jacob will know about that. Now we need to cure the filament or the resin, so it will be stronger. They're very prone to break in the minimal touch, so we need to hold them and handle them very carefully. The first step of my team is dremeling the parts to clean the plastic, so it will show all the details of the design. After that, we will prime it, and then we will start painting it. Painting takes
From
some time.
when you start what's the term, curing it and then priming to painting, how long does it usually take up to the end, the finished product?
Well, since it goes out of the printer until the minute it's completely done, it can take 24 hours.
Wow. So your team must really be trained, good
Yeah.
in painting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So we're going to show photos of the team. Could you please talk about them a bit?
Well, Gretchen is not only my assistant manager, she's my wife. She's been in charge of helping me teach our artists and also with communication. Sometimes I don't know how to express myself very well in English, and she will take it from there to explain the things to the guys. Ryan is my other assistant manager. He's been in the foundation and the restaurant for a long time already, and he's a guy with really amazing hands. He's so patient to make every tiny detail, and then he's the responsible of making the platform, the decoration, the painting of the platform. Then we have all these guys here: Chester, Janrod, Mike, Joshua, Maryjoy, Rodel, and Salvador. That they came little by little to us. Only that I recall, it's a long time ago, but if I remember good, only two of them started with us since the beginning,
Okay.
and then the others came little by little.
What training did you give them for them to be able to, learn the process?
Okay, the first step is when they arrive to us. The first thing I did is give them a blank miniature and a reference miniature, and I will give them a couple of hours to do what they can.
Okay.
After that, I will check, of course, and I will see what they're capable of. And then I will divide them into working groups. Depending on the skills, they will do base coating or detailing or tattoo.
All right. So so you do have experts in, for example, just painting the characters versus also someone who will be doing the scenery, who will be doing the
Yep.
trees or that's good.
Co-
So
correct.
just to show to everyone, we have here photos of first is the trees.
Mhm.
Who was in charge of all of these? The details for the
Well,
trees and
it
what
also
species to put in.
it also depends on their disponibility. They are all students, and sometimes they need to attend their classes or their exams, and well, sometimes. And then with this COVID, some of them also got in lockdown. So we need to adapt every day and work with what we have.
Yes.
So, but the main for the trees is Rodel. You're not showing the. I don't really know the name of the trees. Okay, I'm so
It's
sorry.
okay.
I didn't learn. But well,
It's okay.
we are making different kind of trees. We are making, of course, land trees. We are making palm trees. We are making mangroves, and also bushes. We need
I
to
have
cover
an
a big
idea.
surface.
I think that the bigger one is the balete, and then you have the fire tree, which is endemic to the Philippines on the upper right, and that's a banana plant on the lower right. I read the description. Okay, so our next photo is also on the carabaos, the water buffaloes. This was what Arlie was mentioning a while ago, but I'd like to put more focus on the next couple of photos, which is clearer. This one you have what kind of research you really had to look for this, no? Someone gave you the visual research, or you also had to look into it?
Well, they will, of course, share early most of the time. But
Mm-mm.
the whole team, actually, we are making research ones for the others. We in everything that all of us can help. We love to help the other parts of the project because we all want it to succeed, of course. So after different researches, we will work on it. And actually, well, you see the Carabao.
Yes.
Well, you can see that in the province. You can see that all the time. Still nowadays, a Carabao carrying the bamboo.
Yes.
So
We also
that's not
have
not many research for that.
Nipa hats that were created. So I I guess you do not have similar Nipa hats. They're all different, no?
Mm, yeah, all of them are created. Are handmade. We are not printing them. Some of them we use vinyl, and then we use different natural covers to make the real looking. And the others we have Kian and Chester making with a 3D pen. It's like drawing in the air. So they will make the base structure, and then the rest of the team will cover with leaves or with different kind of vegetable fibers.
Okay. We have a question here from someone from Vibal, from Michael De Jesus. How did you select your artists considering the intricacy of the project, especially with your
Okay.
team?
Yeah. Hello, Michael. Well, it's simple. Okay. First thing that I will look at is that they are willing to learn. All of them are artists. They are really good on arts, but painting a wall or painting a canvas is totally different from painting this size miniature. So they need to be open. They need to be hardworking, and well, they need to have to pass the try.
The skill test.
Yeah.
Right. He also asked, what are the general sizes of the miniature? I heard a while ago that it was 1:50, right? So everything
Yes.
is 1:50.
Mhm.
Okay. Our next photos are on the characters already. And just to share how intricate this is, it's 3 centimeters tall. So you have in proportion, you have the 1 peso coin there.
Yeah.
But I'd like to go back to this slide. So you have Lapu-Lapu seated, Magellan in action, trying to put out his sword. And you also have Raha Humabon that is here.
Correct.
In terms of research, no, naaliw ako dito kay Raha Humabon is medyo on the bulky side because that was what he was really known for. This really also had a lot of research for each of the characters.
Correct. We received some guides from the National Historical Commission, especially on the clothes and the tattoos, because depending on the zone of the Philippines, clothes and tattoos were totally different.
Mm-mm.
So it happens a lot that our artists maybe researched, made tattoos, and then we realized that is not the correct tattoo of Visayas.
Okay.
So we needed to repaint everything and start all over again.
So that means if we get to go and see it, we really have to look at the tattoos to be able to appreciate it. Kasi the tattoos were really researched also.
Yeah.
I'd also like to share, you have the ships. Karakwas, you have bangka, and how many in total do you have water vessels?
I'm not sure because on the tryouts in the platform, we started with I think it was 30, and then we saw that it doesn't cover too many water, so we decided to make more. I think we are now on 40 or 42.
And you still plan to make more?
Maybe a couple of them more.
All right.
We have time.
The photos here show that it was also placed in real water, right?
Yep.
How much water was placed to fill in the 50 square meter?
Around 4,000 liters.
Wow. So when you transfer it, you'll have to be putting the water all over again. Right?
Yep.
Can you give us more information about the one with the really long Karakwa? We have this one.
All the Karakwas are based on historical drawings and chronicles. So we tried to make it as good as possible. There are two kinds. We made 2 or 3 kinds of different Karakoas. We reserved the big ones for the datus, and the small ones for just warriors.
But for this, you have more than 15 people in the vessel, right?
Yeah, they needed the rowers, of course.
Yeah.
So all of them will, once you see it in the diorama, you will see that all of them has rowers on the sides.
Interesting.
All of our Karakoas are full of people.
Right. One last question. If we go see the diorama, how do we see which is the focal point? Because I think for different parts, like we could see Lapu-Lapu, and then we could see the Victoria. For us to be able to appreciate it more, where should we put our focus first and then appreciate it as a whole?
As in my opinion, I think you should first focus at a whole thing, okay? As the whole map. Then you will see that there are 4 different parts, 4 different actions. That is the naval zone, all the boats.
Mm-hmm.
Then the battle action with the battle between the Spaniards and Lapu-Lapu's men. You will see Lapu-Lapu's zone, of course, with him checking out all the beach, and then the villagers. Some Spaniards will be burning houses, and the villagers will be running out of the houses to save their lives.
Oh, okay. That's very well thought of. So I'm pretty sure if we get in Binondo, if we get to have the time to fly to Iloilo, we will be able to see it. Thank you for sharing with us. Yes.
I would like to add that, in the products that we are using we used a lot of different products, a lot of different paints. But we discovered that there is one brand that, I will say proudly Filipino made. It's local, that surpassed all our expectations at the time of painting. And it made our life easier because you'll see there are different kind of paints, and then the viscosity, everything will count at the time of painting, especially when the smaller it is or the porosity of the plastics. So I'm saying this because I know there are a lot of miniature enthusiasts and some of the Pintados group, and this may help them to work with their own projects. That I will strongly recommend to try Arcom. Most of them will know it already because I didn't know it before I came to the Philippines, and it's an amazing paint. The quality is top quality.
Just to reiterate that this is the Armored Komodo Heavy Industries, right?
Yep, correct.
And this can be found online.
Yes, they are. I think they're on Facebook, and then they sell in other kind of online stores in the Philippines.
This will be very helpful for those who are watching from Miniature Enthusiasts Philippines.
That's why I wanted to say it, because
Yeah.
it's something that it helps at the time of buying and thinking what product to use. It's something important to think about.
Thank you, Emilio, for
Thank you.
sharing with us all those tips, and we will make sure to be able to appreciate the diorama more if we look at it from a very at a wider perspective first before looking into each of the highlights. We will call back Sir Arlie, the project manager of the diorama. Hi, Sir Arlie. We have a question from someone, Ferdinand Pagao at Chinatown Museum page. Do you intend to have the diorama tour around the country?
We'd love to. We'd love to. First, we'll show this for 100 days here, but the celebration of the Quincentennial will go on until next year. So we'd love this to share, because one of the deeper goals of this diorama is for us to, number one, learn the details of the past 500 years, unlearn, meaning we correct whatever errors that were taught us about history. Did Lapu-Lapu really killed Magellan? Maybe not, because he was 70 years old. You'll see this in the diorama. Where was he? Possibly. This was also Dr. Hirona's point of view. Possibly he was directing the fight. No? And so many other things that's worth discussing. So learn, unlearn the things that need to be unlearned, and relearn, so that whatever we have relearned may help us also in our, what we call as the informed decision making for our own future in this generation. So we'd love to share this to everybody after the 100 days display at Sulu Garden.
That's right. Also, for those who are planning to go, it would be also good to have a background and the research of Dr. Herona, which is, we are sharing with you the website sulugardenfoundation.org. Dr. Herona's research is there, and I myself personally, I had to relearn a lot of things that I thought was correct. For example, I didn't know Lapu-Lapu was 70 years old. So you have a lot of those misconceptions that have been in our heads through the years, but because of the research, we know now which are facts and which are myths, right? So, Sir Arlie, just to share, our viewers from Iloilo are quite very few, but do please invite them.
Yeah. We expect that this will snowball. We've been doing this as silently as possible, but you discovered us. Thank you very much for partnering with us. Mega World, thank you very much for partnering with us. With our partnership, mag-i-snowball ito. Of course, we have to control the crowd as they come along. Locally in Miagao, this has snowballed already, and they want to rush in. Sabi namin, we will observe pandemic protocols. No?
Definitely.
We go by batches. We observe the protocols. But I know for 100 days, there will be a lot of people who will be coming here and look for themselves. So sa mga Ilonggos, kahit let me speak in Ilonggo, jutay man kita, pero I know, magkanto ka mo dire, you will bring along and return and bring along your friend. No? And this is also for those who can drop by. Please, as much as possible, don't just I'm pretty sure of this, because in some of our projects, selfie lang. But I know you will discuss details which will open your mind as far as historical facts are concerned. You will learn, you will unlearn, and you will relearn. Now, come here sa Sulu Garden. We'll be happy to accommodate you.
Thank you, Sir Arlie. All right. That is the end of our discussion. And at the same time, we would like to invite everyone. Unfortunately, we cannot share with you the bigger scale of the diorama because the launch for this will still be on March 27. In the meantime, we will be posting this talk in Museums Matter in YouTube. Please subscribe. This talk was also made possible by Sulu Garden Foundation. Follow them to find out if they will have, after the 100 days, move on to a different part of the Philippines. So definitely, if they plan to carry it, it's going to be another. The mobility of the structure will be something to hurdle. Sulu Garden Foundation on Facebook. Chinatown Museum, we also have a Facebook page for those who are watching. Thank you for following us. For those who haven't yet, please do. And Iloilo Museum of Contemporary Art, our Facebook page is named Ilo Mocha. And lastly, thank you also to Vibal Group.